Okay, here we go. Let's wrap it up. After the temple gets restored, there's considerable disagreement on if fighting should continue or if peace can now be restored. Remember that Mattathias had only begun his revolt because he felt the temple was being desecrated. So once that's not an issue, Judas's forces are split about in half. Judas wants to keep the fight going. He sees a vision of a completely independent Judea again. There are many other Jews who still feel that that probably is just no longer a reality. So he loses his people. He keeps fighting anyways. One of the things that Judas does right before his death in battle is he begins a relationship with Rome. He starts to send emissaries over there. He starts to bring them into the fight, which rankles the Seleucids to no end. Keep in mind, we're still talking about the 170s BCE, so this is before Rome is the completely dominant global player at the time, but they're up and coming for sure. Judas dies in battle. His brothers continue to take over the army. The Seleucids back pretty far off, and even though Judea remains a client kingdom of the Seleucid Empire at this time, they don't exercise any taxes, and they don't try to reculturate the Jewish people. So this is known as the last period of independent Jewish rule, about 163 to 63 BCE, and it's called the Hasmonean dynasty. Now, what happens after this period is what really starts setting the stage for Jesus of Nazareth coming onto the scene. So, after that period of 63, there is some inner turmoil. It's called the Hasmonean Civil War, and people are wrestling for control over who gets to be high priest, who gets to be the king. Eventually, an Edomite, or someone from the region of Edom, which is just to the south of Judea, appeals to Rome for help. And this person from Edom, his name is Herod. He appeals to Rome for help, and Rome says, "You know what? Why don't you just be the king?" So Rome comes in and establishes Herod as King of the Jews. That is his title. This is the exact same title that Jesus of Nazareth uses when he's both describing himself, and it's what gets nailed to the cross with him, Jesus, King of the Jews. So when Jesus uses this phrase, he is specifically calling upon the Maccabean revolt and kind of throwing some sand into the face of Herod, who many people at the time recognized came from around the region, but nobody recognized him as Jewish because he is from Edom. So, I hope you've enjoyed this story of how the Maccabean revolt ends. Maccabeus, of course, meaning Warhammer. I invite your questions. I invite your conversations.